From property tycoon to celebrity to president, Donald Trump certainly seemed to personify the American dream. To others, his path to the top could be considered the American nightmare. Many people affected by this nightmare were involved in multi-level marketing investments that went south after they were lured in and assured of their future success from the world-famous businessman. Welcome to Erin on the Side of Caution. Please subscribe and hit the bell so that you don't miss out on any new videos about the empty promises of the multi-level marketing and self-help industries. Today, I'd like to share two interesting MLM company stories with a prominent key figure connecting them. I'm referring to ACN, the Trump Network, and Donald Trump. Trump made over $11 million endorsing two multi-level marketing companies in the 2000s, for which he and his children would later be sued for fraud. Now, before we get started, I want to make a quick comment that this video aims to highlight the abusive tactics that MLM companies use to lure in and exploit their distributors. This video serves as a case study where MLMs use famous people to get publicity to further their cause. Whether you're pro or anti-Trump, this video has valuable information that you should take note of regarding the unethical behavior of MLM companies.
Right now, someone is watching TV, shopping online, sharing on social media, scrolling a news feed, cooking, turning on lights, texting, paying with a credit card, and someone is definitely making a phone call. These activities take place every hour of every day in millions of homes and businesses worldwide. Access to essential services like electricity, natural gas, wireless, television, internet, telephone, payment processing, and now ACN has added identity theft protection through ID Shield. These are the services customers and businesses depend on and refuse to live without. Now, imagine earning income through your very own business every time a customer pays a bill for services they're already using anyway. With ACN, you can.
American Communications Network, or ACN, was founded in 1993 by Greg Provenzano, Robert Stevanovsky, Tony Kupiz, and Mike Kupiz. Today, ACN offers identity theft protection, gas and electricity utilities, high-speed internet, television, security, and wireless services as part of their residential portfolio of products. They also offer business services similar to the residential services, although they're packaged a little differently. Now, let's go back in time to the early 2000s. Although ACN claims to be ethical in its business approach, some might disagree with them. On June 13, 2002, ACN settled a case with the Bureau of Consumer Services in Pennsylvania, where it was alleged that independent business owners were switching consumer services without authorization. ACN disputed the allegations, and the exact details of the settlement were sealed by the court. ACN currently operates in 27 countries. In Australia, they're licensed as the Australian Communications Network. In 2005, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission brought charges against ACN, claiming that they were running a pyramid selling scheme. The combination of startup costs and the financial incentive to recruit more people raised some red flags with regulators. In the initial ruling, the Australian Federal Court found that the company was an illegal pyramid scheme in breach of the Trade Practices Act. However, unfortunately, the decision was overturned on appeal later that year. ACN was making headlines, but for all the wrong reasons. Then, an opportunity presented itself. The Apprentice first aired in January 2004, and it soon became a worldwide hit. The Apprentice generated $197 million of income for Donald Trump. Overnight, he became an internationally recognized personality associated with business success. The irony is that during this time, he wasn't really doing all that well. The Apprentice became known as his financial lifeline. Trump became hot property, and his Trump brand became overvaluated. The brand became associated with quality, success, wealth, and business expertise. The Trump name became an international household name, and companies worldwide were trying to get a piece of the Trump brand pie. ACN was one of these companies. In a 2005 interview with ACN co-founder Greg Provenzano, Trump said he picked ACN over other potential opportunities. Trump said, "I am asked to do this, what you're doing with me, many, many times, and I turned down many, many different proposals. We do a lot of research on companies before we agree to do something like I'm doing for you, and ACN is a great company." From 2006 until he announced his presidential candidacy in 2015, ACN had a business relationship with Trump. Trump began promoting ACN and later also featured the company on The Apprentice. He made $8.8 million from ACN in a little over a decade. Of the $8.8 million Trump received from ACN, $1 million of it came in 2009 at the height of the Great Recession. Trump made good money right to the end of their partnership. As a motivational speaker for ACN, Trump earned $1.35 million for 3 speaking events between 2014 and 2015. That is $450,000 per event. This was easy money that could possibly help pay for an expensive upcoming political campaign. When Trump was flying the banner for ACN, there were still some legal battles taking place in different states. For instance, in August 2010, the Montana Commissioner of Securities and Insurance, Monica Lindeen, announced a cease and desist order and notice of proposed agency action against ACN and several founders for operating a pyramid scheme. In September 2010, the commissioner moved to vacate the cease and desist order when the case was settled. During the Celebrity Apprentice show in 2011, Trump introduced ACN's 2 top executives saying, quote, "They run a company called ACN, which I know very well." In the episode, the candidates had to promote and sell ACN's new video phone. Trump had this to say: "I've been able to determine after some research that you guys have stayed ahead of the pack. You've stayed ahead of them from a technological standpoint and from a knowledge standpoint." In reality, this phone received awful reviews, and the worst feature that stood out above all else was that you could only make video calls to other ACN video phones. Also, remember that in 2007, Apple launched the industry-disruptive iPhone that changed the future of smartphones forever. Still, Trump had this to say: "I think the ACN video phone is amazing. I simply can't imagine anybody using this phone and not loving it." Now, at this point, you may be getting very angry at Donald Trump, but here's something to think about. How is Trump any different from your neighbor, colleague, or family that just joined an MLM company? Remember that part of this MLM cult mentality is that everything is the best. Promoting the success and greatness of the products reflects back on your own success and excellence. And this seems to be a requirement of every MLM out there. This way of thinking that involves the discarding of reason and logical thinking and replacing it with these MLM God complex attitudes. It's a persuasion tool to view yourself and your company's products above everything, and everyone who says differently should be alienated. Criticism is not accepted and using logic and reason is discouraged. Some might say that Trump is the ideal figure to reinforce and idolize this concept. From a branding and influencing perspective, it was the perfect evil strategy, and ACN was growing exponentially. Unfortunately for ACN, Trump broke business ties with them when he announced his presidential run.
I've been working with ACN for a few years now. Since that time, I've developed a great relationship with ACN, and the more I learn about them, the more I like and respect them. I see incredible potential in the things they're doing now.
Now, here is that famous excerpt again from the interview with one of ACN's executives, where Trump said, "I'm asked to do this, what you're doing with me, many, many times. And I turn down many, many different proposals. We do a lot of research on companies before we agree to do something like I'm doing for you. And ACN is a great company." In an interview with the Wall Street Journal in August 2015, Trump was asked to comment on his relationship with ACN. But this time, he had this to say: "I do not know the company. I know nothing about the company other than the people who run the company. I'm not familiar with what they do or how they go about doing that, and I make that clear in my speeches." Currently, 4 anonymous MLM sellers are suing Trump, his company, and his family members, saying that their endorsement of ACN led them to losing thousands of dollars. The Trump Organization and ACN's co-founders told Business Insider they believe the lawsuit is no more than a politically motivated attack on Trump. In a video to recruits, Trump was quoted saying, "I work with a lot of companies, and I can say with 100% confidence that you've made the right decision choosing ACN." On the other hand, an investigation from the Montana Commissioner of Securities and Insurance concluded that, on average, a Montana ACN seller paid about $752 to the company. In return, they got back just about $53 in compensation. That's an average loss of $699 per member. In France, investigators of a pending lawsuit arrived at another conclusion. According to them, only 1% of people recruited could claim an adequate income, while 99% either lose money or at best earn a monthly payment of about $35. But not Donald Trump. He made $8.8 million from ACN. Next up, we look at the Trump Network.
I want you and your family to benefit from our breakthrough health and wellness products. The Trump Network wants to give millions of people renewed hope and with an exciting plan to opt out of the recession.
Before there was the Trump Network, there was Ideal Health Incorporated. It was founded in 1997 by brothers Scott and Todd Stanwood and Lou DiCaprio. At first, they worked for another MLM company called New Skin Enterprises. And once they saw how successful the company had become, they decided to create their own MLM and formed Ideal Health. Ideal Health's business model revolved around a customized vitamin supplement program. What set it apart was that the customized vitamin supplement program was determined by a urinalysis test. The test would determine the customer's health status, and the client would then receive the correct vitamin combination. Like other MLM companies, it wasn't long until the complaints started rolling in, as people realized that the company's promises were not living up to their claims. The Federal Trade Commission received numerous complaints against Ideal Health from sellers claiming that they had spent thousands of dollars on products that did not generate revenue. There was a lawsuit against one of the products of Ideal Health called Supreme Greens. It was suggested that Supreme Greens could cure cancer, and many people believed these unsubstantiated claims. Ideal Health faced many complaints and charges as seen in documents made public in 2004 by the Freedom of Information Act. Sales representatives said they paid thousands of dollars for leadership programs, infomercials, starter kits, and other materials that they never recovered in sales. One person said they joined the company expecting to make a 5-figure monthly income, but instead spent almost $9,000 on promotional materials. Another claimed they were encouraged to mortgage their home for $70,000 to buy shares in television advertising. Now remember, this information was openly available to the public. Anyone was able to view it, including Donald Trump. One complaint read, "They try to use people's hopes and dreams to empty their wallet." Does that sound familiar? It should, because that seems to be the mantra of every MLM out there. Trump was introduced to Ideal Health in 2008, when then CEO Dean Bleckman approached him. Later in the interview, Bleckman said that Ideal Health was undercapitalized, and the company was seeking a partnership to expand its recognition. Bleckman said that Trump enjoyed the idea of promoting health and creating income for people in an MLM framework. Bleckman went on to say, quote, "I brought the company $100 of millions revenue opportunity. There was nobody in the world, nobody, not a single person in the world, that was more perfect than Donald Trump." Remember, this was when The Apprentice was still very popular and continued to present Donald Trump as a business genius. When people became aware of Donald Trump's involvement in Ideal Health, they were eagerly attracted to this company, endorsed by their business guru. Trump's endorsement persuaded some salespeople to quit their jobs and recruit friends, family, and neighbors to join, according to interviews and news stories, and the company grew from 5,000 people to 20,000. The name changed to the Trump Network, and Donald actively and enthusiastically promoted this new company. Here's what he said to 5,000 people at a Trump Network convention in Miami in 2009. Now remember, this was during the worst part of the economic recession. Quote, "When I did The Apprentice, it was a long shot. This is not a long shot. This is going to be something that's really amazing." One of the high-level sales representatives of the company at the time, Kim Stone, went on to say this in a 2010 online video about Donald Trump's involvement. "We're working on projects behind the scenes every single day with Mr. Trump. Literally, you will be able to set yourself up for the rest of your life, financially speaking, if you take advantage of the timing right now with this company." As you might suspect, none of this ended up happening. From 2011, the number of people attending conferences started dwindling. There was a severe decline in interest, and the Trump brand was not as effective as before. 18 months after Trump sold his name to the company, it collapsed. At the beginning of 2012, the Trump Network was sold to Bioseutica for an undisclosed amount of money. The Stanwood brothers and Lou DiCaprio filed for bankruptcy and lost their 8,000 square foot home in Boston. According to the Washington Post, the Trump Network is also part of a 2018 lawsuit, which is still making its way through court after a Manhattan judge ruled in 2019 that the 4 plaintiffs could pursue claims of fraud, false advertising, and unfair compensation. A lawyer and spokesperson for Mr. Trump had this to say. His role in the Trump Network was limited to licensing the Trump brand and providing motivational speeches to its members. Mr. Trump was never an owner of the Trump Network. He also was not involved in the manufacturing or sale of any of the Trump Network's products. Donald Trump made $2.6 million on his licensing agreement with this MLM company, while countless others lost thousands of dollars and had their dreams torn to shreds. So there you have it, 2 case studies where a trusted public figure worked alongside MLMs, exploiting the working class out of money in exchange for false hope. Trump has repeatedly said that he was not aware of what was going on in the background of these companies. However, he publicly stated that he researched them well. If he had examined them well, why would he risk damaging his reputation and associate his brand with companies who had already racked up so many complaints? The truth of the matter is, what Donald Trump said during and after his involvement with these companies are two different things altogether. The moral of this story is that you should not be fooled by the shiny promises presented to you by an MLM company. In fact, I hope this video serves as a warning to be extra careful. ACN and Ideal Health are far from the only MLM companies that have hired celebrities and influencers to help legitimize their products and services. The sad fact is that these paid spokespeople make a ton of money to endorse companies that only benefit the people at the top who are already rich. Thanks for joining me today for another look at the empty promises of the multi-level marketing industry. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and thanks for joining me on the side of caution.